Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying moments from your past? Maybe it's a decision you wish you'd handled differently, a harsh word you can't take back, or an opportunity you let slip away. You're not alone. Many of us carry these quiet burdens, and as we grow older, they can weigh even heavier on our hearts. But here's the good news. It's never too late to release that weight and find peace. Today, we're talking about something deeply personal but incredibly powerful. How to forgive yourself for past mistakes. And I'm not just talking about vague advice here. We'll walk through 6 practical, actionable steps to help you let go of guilt, reclaim your joy, and embrace the life you're living right now. Let's start with the first step. Step 1 is acknowledging the pain without judgment. Think of it like tending a garden. If you ignore weeds, they grow stronger, right? The same goes for unresolved feelings. So many of us brush aside our regrets thinking, I should be over this by now. But denying the hurt only gives it power. Instead, try this. Sit quietly, take a few deep breaths, and simply let yourself feel what's there. Maybe it's sadness, anger, or even shame. That's okay. As one mindfulness expert put it, emotions are like clouds. They pass more quickly when we stop fighting them. Now, I know this sounds simple, but it's not always easy. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Margaret, carried guilt for years after her divorce. She'd replay arguments in her head, blaming herself for not trying harder. Then one day, she decided to write down every thought that came up. No filters, no self-editing, just raw, honest words on paper. And you know what happened? By facing those feelings head-on, she began to untangle them. That's the power of acknowledgement. It's not about wallowing, it's about shining a light so you can finally see what's there and begin to heal. Which brings us to step 2, reframing your story. So often, we define ourselves by our mistakes. I'm the person who failed my kids, or I'm the one who couldn't hold that marriage together. But here's the truth. You are not your past. You're a person who's learned, grown, and kept moving forward. Try this exercise. Think of a regret and ask yourself, what did this teach me? Maybe that divorce taught you the importance of setting boundaries, or a career misstep showed you where your true passions lie. Research shows that reframing challenges as lessons can actually reduce stress and boost resilience. It's like turning a heavy rock into a stepping stone. Let me give you another example. A few years ago, I struggled with guilt over not being more present for my grandchildren when they were younger. Work always seemed to come first, but when I reframed that regret, I was doing my best at the time, and now I can prioritize differently. It freed me to focus on the time I do have with them now. That shift in perspective, it's life-changing. Now, before we move to step 3, I want you to pause and reflect. Maybe grab a journal like this one, Holds Up Journal, and jot down one regret you're ready to face. Just the act of writing it down can make it feel less overwhelming. In a moment, we'll dive into step 3, where we'll explore how self-compassion isn't selfish, it's essential. But first, let's take a slow, deep breath together. Ready? Inhale and exhale. Good. Let's keep going. Step 3 is about practicing self-compassion. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others first. But think of it this way. If your best friend came to you with the same regret, would you scold them or offer kindness? Of course, you choose kindness. So why not give yourself the same grace? One technique I love is the gentle touch practice. Place your hand over your heart, feel its rhythm, and say aloud or silently, "This is hard, but I'm doing my best." Sounds simple, but studies show physical touch combined with affirmations can calm the nervous system and reduce self-criticism. Remember, forgiveness isn't a one-time event. It's a daily choice to release the weight of the past. And as we continue, we'll explore how to turn that choice into a habit. But first, let's talk about letting go of perfection, because that's where true freedom begins. Letting go of perfection isn't about lowering your standards. It's about freeing yourself from the impossible weight of never enough. For years, I beat myself up over every tiny mistake, like forgetting a grandchild's recital or misspeaking in a conversation. Sound familiar? We hold ourselves to these sky-high expectations, and when we fall short, the guilt can feel paralyzing. Step 4 is releasing the need for perfection. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks labeled should've, could've, and would've. Each one represents a moment you've overanalyzed or criticized yourself for. Now, what if you set that backpack down? Here's a practice to try. Write down one imperfect moment you've been judging yourself for. Now, next to it, jot down one thing you did well in that situation. Maybe you apologized after a disagreement, or you showed up for someone even when you felt uncertain. This isn't about excusing harmful behavior, it's about recognizing that you're human. As psychologist Dr. Kristen Neff reminds us, self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It's simply treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. Now let's talk about step 5, taking constructive action. Sometimes the weight of regret lingers because we feel stuck in the past. But action, even small steps, can help rewrite the story. Take my neighbor, Harold. He carried guilt for years after a falling out with his brother decades ago. One day, he decided to write a letter. He didn't make excuses or ask for forgiveness. He simply said, "I've thought about that day a lot, and I'm sorry for my part in it." He never sent it, but the act of writing it brought him closure. Other times, action might mean volunteering to channel regret into purpose, or having an honest conversation if the situation allows. Research shows that taking responsibility and making amends, when appropriate, can reduce shame and restore self-respect. But remember, action doesn't always mean fixing the past. Sometimes it's about proving to yourself that you've grown. If you regret not pursuing a passion, take a class. If you feel you weren't present enough as a parent, be intentional about time with your grandkids. Which brings us to the final step, anchoring yourself in the present. So often, regret keeps us trapped in what if or if only. But life isn't lived in the rearview mirror. Think of this plant. It doesn't waste energy regretting the leaves it dropped last season. It focuses on the sunlight and water available today. We can do the same. In a moment, we'll explore how mindfulness and gratitude can ground you in the here and now. But first, let's pause. Take a slow breath in and out. Good. Let's keep moving forward together. Before we dive into the final step, I want you to imagine this. What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow without the weight of old regrets? Lighter, right? That's the power of these steps. They're not about erasing the past. They're about choosing to live fully in the present. Forgiveness isn't linear. Some days you'll feel free, others The guilt might creep back in. That's okay. What matters is that you're choosing to face it with courage and compassion. And as we'll discuss next, that choice can become a daily practice, one that transforms not just your mindset, but your entire life. Step 6 is all about anchoring yourself in the present. And one of the most powerful tools for this is gratitude. Now, I know gratitude might sound like a buzzword, but hear me out. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending everything's perfect. It's about training your mind to notice the good that's already here. Think of gratitude like watering this plant. Every day, you're nurturing your mind with thoughts that help you grow. Research shows that seniors who practice gratitude report lower stress, better sleep, and even stronger relationships. So, how do you start? Try this. Each morning, name 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. A warm cup of tea, a call from a friend, the way the sunlight hits your kitchen counter. Another practice I love is pairing gratitude with mindfulness. When guilt or regret creeps in, pause. Take 3 slow breaths, feeling the air fill your lungs. Then, name one thing you appreciate about this moment. It could be the quiet of the afternoon, the comfort of your favorite chair, or even the strength in your hands that let you hold a pen. I'll share something personal. After losing my spouse, I struggled with guilt. Guilt for moments I wasn't present enough. One day, my granddaughter handed me a crayon and said, "Grandpa, draw what makes you happy." I drew this plant right here, and in that moment, I realized joy isn't something waiting for me in the future. It's here, now, in the little things. Of course, some days will still be hard. That's normal. But the more you practice grounding yourself in gratitude, the less power the past will hold. And remember, forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself to live fully today. Before we wrap up, I want you to try something. Look around the room. Find one thing that makes you smile. A photo, a souvenir, a cozy blanket. Hold it in your hands and let yourself feel thankful for it. This isn't just an exercise. It's a reminder that life is still happening here and you're a part of it. Over these past few minutes, we've walked through 6 steps. Acknowledging pain, reframing your story, practicing self-compassion, releasing perfection, taking action, and anchoring in gratitude. But this isn't a checklist to finish. It's a journey, and every small step counts. If you're comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. What's one regret you're ready to release? Or maybe you've already found peace. Tell us what helped. And if this resonated with you, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. We're building a community here, one where we support each other in living lighter, brighter lives. Remember, the past doesn't define you. You're not the sum of your mistakes. You're a person with wisdom, resilience, and so much love left to give. Here's to finding peace, one day at a time. I'll see you next week